that is our favorite one.
The one that we do the most when we talk about Kakasana, and that is that key and socket position. So as she was saying before, what we want to do is to have our knee and our elbow in a similar line. So this will become the shape that you are in.
So the key and socket sometimes can be hard because you have to, it's very hard between brackets to identify the socket, right? If you extend your leg forward, Patrick has short, so you will lose a little bit that little socket that is created, the little opening that is created at the moment that you bend the knee, and you will feel that there is a little bit of a dip into your knee, and that's where is the socket for your key. The key is the elbow. When you start to when you start to prepare yourself for your arm balance into this way, you want to make sure that your elbow and your tibia tuberosity, that is this part, are in line, because this one will give you stability and potentially will also help you to stack. You want to kind of find a little bit of stacking so that you can relax into. And also, if you want to transition in more powerful asana from here, you don't need to gaze out into your crow pose. You can gaze out in another asana.
And the hard thing here when we start is to have really the elbow on and like pulling it into that space.
Yeah.
And the hard part is, as soon as you start to come up, you have a little bit less of a surface where you are staying on. So that is why a lot of people, even when they think they have elbow to knee, they still find that they are a little bit more on the tricep, just with the arms more bent, just because of that stability point that we were talking about. So it makes it a little bit harder at the beginning to stabilize, but once you start to get that feeling where it needs to be and you get that point of elbow into that knee socket, that is when you start to get again that control, and it becomes light because the bones stack on top of each other. And when the bones are stacked, things become lighter than when it's more shifted, and again it's pointing and it's pushing into the soft parts of your muscles.
So this one will ask you a little bit more time and searching, and at the beginning will feel maybe a little bit more unstable if you're used to place your knee onto your tricep. At the end of the story, when you kind of nail that sweet spot, it would feel way more stable, and actually you can, between brackets, chill there even like quite an amount of time. So let's go there.
So I will do this next one.
Yeah.
So again, I will use that same block. I will use the two angles again so that you guys can see.
Oh yeah.
And of course, eventually when you do them more, you don't need to use the block anymore. But it helps a lot, and especially if you do many reps, to keep your hips higher and not tiring out too fast. Especially when we're also still working a little bit on that strength part of our arm balancing.
And you can try for yourself, as we are demoing this different variation, how it is for you to demo it without and with. So as you replicate this posture, try with and without the block and see how it changes your perception of the pose. So we start to find that little socket for our key. So if you see Patrick, how is it now? He's a little bit lower, his knees were a little bit lower compared to mine, and he's keeping really the knee in contact with the elbow. As you notice, his hips are higher maybe, just because he's more comfortable here. And then coming down.
Yeah. So this is the part where you want to start to feel a little bit that space with knee and elbow. So here just experiment, and it's the same thing like what we did before. I lifted both feet up at the same time, but of course you can take little baby steps to get a little bit more comfortable into this pose. And also notice when you start to feel that your elbows or your knees start to lose contact, just come back down, settle them back in, place your hands first, start to find that space with the knees towards the elbows, and notice that you're not turning them out.
Yes.
So every time when we a lot of times see that people don't get this little detail of the elbow and the knee, is because actually every time we start to forget to wrap the triceps in. And when we wrap the triceps in, it actually locks pretty quick and you look forward. So don't look back towards your feet, don't look down between your hands, start to look forward. When we look forward, again, like what I said at the beginning, we start to shift more towards the fingers. And when we shift more towards the fingers, I don't even need to lift the feet because they start to become light.
And if you will be here, like looking at Patrick's fingers, they're pretty white because he's pressing through his finger. And his feet can be also a little bit more relaxed.
And that is the point that we try to make, that it starts to become not that heavy to stay here. And that is the point that you want to find. You want to find balance, stabilization, and the shift with the gaze and the hands to find that balance point. Once you find that balance point, you will start to feel that you naturally start to lift up.
Yeah, correct. So you see the different variation. And honestly, like if you try all of them, you will notice that you will lean towards one specifically. The question for you is always why you go for that. Is because you feel more stable, because maybe you have more support, more meat to lean against to, or like you want to find transitions. So you lean to the one that at the moment feels a little bit more difficult, but at the same time will give you more in the long run. Patrick stressed it a lot of times through this masterclass today, this wrapping of the elbows. So this is an incredible thing that gets lost most of the time because of our little friends here, the serratus anterior and all the things that you need to wrap and push, but also can be something that you face difficulties, even like through your dolphin pose or other things.
Another way to see that I will show you is actually to see it from the front side. So you will see the difference if my elbows are flaring out or if I really wrap them in, especially for this version of Kakasana.
Yeah.
So if I come onto the toes and I stay right in front of you, I place my elbows, my hands down. And if my elbows are more out here, which happens a lot because we are so focused on planting the knees and my elbows are out here,
they will open to the side.
They will start to open to the side, and you get a lot of times what people get is that the knee slides simply off. So again, as soon as you plant your hands before coming up, don't mind so much about the lift. Feel first to close this chain into the body. So we're really wrapping. So you see the eyes of my elbows are not turning here. They're turning more to the front. So they're facing more towards you, towards the camera. So that when I bend the elbows, I actually get that sharper part of the elbow linking towards my side where my knees are going to be. Then as I wrap them, then I can place the knees on top, lean and gaze forward. And then as the weight is in my fingers, I can start to lift my feet and then slowly lower them down and then sit back. So this is a really important part that is very easy to miss because we're so eager to lift up. You have all the time. Plant the hands, wrap the elbows in, press the floor away, bend through the elbows, then place the knees and feel that they lock into each other before lifting the feet.
Yeah. And if I can add just a little thing that could be a test that sometimes we also say is like if you're really into this position of key and socket, so elbows to knee, really like nice and stuck together, you can start to test your own stability by shifting weight sometimes, like bringing one knee on one side and leaning there and alternate. So theoretically, this kind of positioning of the knees should enable you to do it with relative difficulty. So this one is also a nice indicator. And what I mean with that is that if I am in this position, where maybe I should place myself to the front. So when I bring my knee and on top of my elbow, so I am in this knee and socket position here, and I can lift, I actually can shift, right? Because there is nice contact and stability there. So I can bring my leg in and can be a nice exercise for endurance into this pose.